Have you ever faced a situation so hopeless that it felt like the end? A moment where all you could do was wait, and the waiting felt like an eternity? Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful stories ever told. A story about friendship, unbearable loss, and a miracle that shattered the very definition of impossible. This is the story of Lazarus. In the small village of Bethany, just a couple of miles from Jerusalem, lived a family very dear to Jesus. Mary, Martha, and their brother, Lazarus. They weren't just followers, they were close friends. Jesus had spent many evenings in their home, sharing meals, laughter, and deep conversations. Their bond was special, built on mutual love and respect. So when Lazarus fell gravely ill, his sisters knew exactly who to turn to. They sent a messenger to Jesus with a simple, urgent plea. Lord, the one you love is sick. They trusted that as soon as Jesus heard, he would drop everything and rush to their side. But Jesus' reaction was puzzling. When he received the news, he told his disciples, "This sickness will not end in death. No, it is for God's glory, so that God's Son may be glorified through it." And then, he did something completely unexpected. He stayed where he was for 2 more days. Imagine the sisters back in Bethany. Every passing hour, their hope would have dwindled. They would have been watching the road, listening for footsteps, their anxiety growing with each sunset. Why wasn't he coming? Had he not gotten the message? The man who could heal strangers with a single touch. Why was he delaying for a friend he loved so dearly? The suspense and worry in that home must have been suffocating. By the time Jesus finally decided to go to Bethany, it was too late. He told his disciples plainly, "Lazarus is dead, and for your sake I am glad I was not there, so that you may believe. But let us go to him." When they arrived on the outskirts of the village, the air was thick with mourning. Lazarus had already been in the tomb for 4 days. The professional mourners were wailing, and the home that was once filled with warmth was now a house of grief. Martha, ever the practical and direct one, heard Jesus was coming and went out to meet him on the road. Her words were a mix of faith and heartbreak. "Lord," she said, "if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But I know that even now God will give you whatever you ask." You can hear the what if in her voice, the pain of what could have been. Jesus looked at this grieving woman, his friend, and offered her one of the most profound statements in all of Scripture. He said, "Your brother will rise again." Martha, thinking of the future resurrection at the end of time, agreed. But Jesus gently corrected her, shifting her focus from a distant hope to a present reality. He declared, "I am the resurrection and the life. The one who believes in me will live, even though they die, and whoever lives by believing in me will never die." Do you believe this? In that moment, he wasn't just offering comfort. He was revealing his very identity. After her conversation with Jesus, Martha went back to call her sister, Mary. Mary, who had been sitting in the house, overwhelmed by sorrow, got up quickly and went to him. When she reached Jesus and saw him, she fell at his feet, weeping. Her words echoed Martha's, but they were choked with raw, unrestrained emotion. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." The weight of her grief was palpable. Seeing her weeping, and the others who had come with her also weeping, Jesus was deeply moved in spirit and troubled. "Where have you laid him?" he asked. "Come and see, Lord," they replied. And then, in the shortest verse in the Bible, we see the profound humanity of Jesus. Jesus wept. He didn't just feel sorry for them. He entered into their pain. His tears weren't for the loss of Lazarus, because he knew what he was about to do. His tears were for the pain of his friends, for the sting of death, for the brokenness of the world. He wept with those who wept. They led him to the tomb. It was a cave, with a large stone rolled against the entrance, as was the custom. The crowd followed, a mixture of mourners, friends, and skeptics. Some whispered among themselves, "Could not he who opened the eyes of the blind man have kept this man from dying?" The atmosphere was heavy with sorrow and doubt. This was the final, unchangeable reality, a sealed tomb, a symbol of absolute finality. It was a moment of complete and utter despair. The hope that had flickered when Jesus arrived was now facing a cold, hard stone. Standing before this monument of death, Jesus gave a command that must have shocked everyone. "Take away the stone." The silence was broken by Martha, the ever-practical sister, who voiced what everyone was thinking. "But, Lord," she said, "by this time there is a bad odor, for he has been there 4 days." She was trying to protect Jesus, to protect the memory of her brother from the grim reality of decay. But Jesus gently reminded her, "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" So they rolled the stone away. The entrance to the dark cave was now open. Jesus then looked up to heaven and prayed aloud, not because he needed to, but for the benefit of the people standing there. He said, "Father, I thank you that you have heard me. I knew that you always hear me, but I said this for the benefit of the people standing here, that they may believe that you sent me." He was connecting this miracle directly to his Father, showing that his power was from God. After he had prayed, he took a deep breath, and with a voice that thundered with divine authority, he cried out, "Lazarus, come out." Imagine the silence that followed. The crowd held its breath. All eyes were fixed on the dark opening of the tomb. What would happen? Could a voice really pierce the veil of death? And then, something moved in the darkness. A figure, wrapped from head to toe in strips of linen, with a cloth around his face, shuffled out into the daylight. It was Lazarus. He was alive. The man who had been dead for 4 days, the man whose body had already begun to decay, was standing before them. The crowd was frozen in a mixture of terror and utter amazement. Jesus then gave a simple, practical instruction. "Take off the grave clothes and let him go." As his friends and family rushed to unbind him, the reality of what had just happened began to sink in. This wasn't a ghost. It was Lazarus, restored and whole. The impact was immediate and overwhelming. The sight of a man walking out of his own tomb shattered every known law of nature. Many of the people who had come to comfort Mary and Martha and had witnessed this incredible event put their faith in Jesus that day. How could they not? They had seen death itself bow to his command. This wasn't just a healing. This was a resurrection. It was a demonstration of power so absolute that it left no room for doubt. But this miracle also set in motion the events that would lead to Jesus' own death, as his enemies saw him as a threat that had to be eliminated. The story of Lazarus is more than just an incredible miracle. It's a powerful preview of Jesus' own resurrection and the promise he gives to all who believe in him. It teaches us that even when we are facing our own sealed tombs, situations of grief, despair, or hopelessness that seem utterly final, there is a voice that can call us out of the darkness and into the light. It's a profound message of hope, a declaration that with God, even death is not the end of the story. It's a promise that no matter how long you've been in the tomb, no matter how impossible it seems, the resurrection and the life can call your name and bring you forth into a new beginning. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear this message of hope today.